Every pinch of salt you sprinkle onto your food carries an invisible synthetic additive. It's very deep within the crystalline structure of the seasoning itself. When researchers tested salt from every corner of the globe, they found a consistent, alarming pattern. 90% of all sea salt samples worldwide are contaminated with microplastics. This happens because our oceans have become a repository for plastic waste. Over decades, those plastics weather and degrade, breaking down into microscopic fragments that are inadvertently pulled into the salt harvesting process. While we are accustomed to seeing large-scale pollution on our beaches, this waste has reached a scale so small it has bypassed our macro defenses and landed directly on our dinner plates. Once ingested, these particles don't simply pass through the digestive system. Their microscopic size allows them to interact with our biology at a cellular level. Because these fragments can leach synthetic chemicals or physically irritate cell membranes, researchers have identified them as potential triggers for chronic inflammation. This internal stress is why scientists are increasingly linking microplastic ingestion to systemic diseases, including cancer. The difficulty in stopping this lies in the salt-making process itself. Once the water evaporates and the salt crystals form, they often grow around the plastic, locking the contaminant inside a solid mineral lattice that cannot be washed away. Current industrial purification methods are designed for large impurities. At the granular level, our standard defenses are effectively blind to these invisible threats. Researchers at IIT Guwahati decided to tackle this by changing the timing of the entire purification cycle. Instead of trying to scrub the salt after it has already solidified, their methodology focuses on the seawater itself before the first crystal even begins to form. In the standard production cycle, water moves from the ocean straight to evaporation ponds. The IIT Guwahati team realized they could intercept the flow right here, using a liquid phase barrier before the evaporation stage begins. At this specific stage, the microplastics are still freely suspended in the liquid seawater, making them much easier to isolate than when they are trapped inside solid salt. Focusing on the seawater phase allows the team to utilize fluid dynamics, rather than trying to mechanically separate plastic from solid salt, a task that standard purification systems aren't built to handle. The heart of this intervention is hollow fiber microfiltration. These are tiny, straw-like tubes with thousands of microscopic openings covering their outer walls. When contaminated seawater is pressurized and forced toward these fibers, the material acts as a highly selective barrier. This works through simple size exclusion. The pores are large enough for water and salt molecules to pass into the center of the fiber, but they are too small for plastic fragments to enter. The plastic is held back on the outside of the fiber, while the clean, filtered salt water is gathered inside the tube and funneled toward a collection point. Only after this mechanical separation is the water allowed to evaporate, resulting in salt crystals that are free of synthetic debris. This microscopic sieve creates a physical boundary that stops the cycle of ocean pollution from entering our bodies. While this technology could be deployed at a massive scale for industrial salt producers, the researchers designed the system to be versatile. Because the filtration relies on physics rather than complex chemical processing, the hardware required for the system is remarkably compact. This small footprint means the technology is accessible enough for home use. A consumer can dissolve their salt, run it through the filter, and remove the plastics in their own kitchen before cooking. This design effectively moves high-level filtration out of the factory and puts the ability to verify food purity directly onto the kitchen counter. Solving the global ocean pollution crisis will span generations. We cannot instantly remove the trillions of plastic fragments already in our waters. However, the IIT Guwahati microfiltration process provides a way to defend ourselves in the meantime, offering a localized solution to a massive global problem. While we work to clean our oceans, we can use engineering to build personal shields, keeping our families safe and our basic seasonings pure.